Picture yourself at home at night, unwinding on the couch, watching a Moura from Manuel do Mundo, when suddenly the power goes out. Wouldn't it be really cool if you could have a power bank that you turn on and the power comes back? What if I said something like this already exists, but it's far superior? Today, you're going to learn about a solution for your home or business, so you'll never be without power again, and what's more, you might even save a lot on your electricity bill. It's the energy storage system known as battery energy storage system. This power outage we just joked about here at Manuel do Mundo happens all the time. We're in a very tree-lined neighborhood, and when it starts raining in the summer, we're already afraid the power will go out because trees fall on the wires. Then we can't record anymore because there's no lighting, we can't edit videos because the computer doesn't work, but that's just here at Manuel do Mundo. But we know it doesn't just happen to us. At home, for example, the food in the fridge goes bad. Imagine the loss for a restaurant. Electronics get damaged because of these power surges and outages. Security cameras stop working, alarms, electric gates stop functioning. In buildings without a generator, the elevator stops working. I once lived on the 11th floor when the power went out. We had to keep carrying our few-month-old daughter Helena up and down in her car Moses basket. It was terrible. Picture an elderly couple with mobility issues. And maybe the worst of all is for those who have some medical device at home that depends on electricity to survive, who are at serious risk when the power goes out. The most obvious solution is often to use a generator. But what we're going to talk about today isn't a generator. It's actually a big battery box that stores energy for when you need it. But it has an intelligent system that makes it more than an uninterruptible power supply. That's why Moura is with us in this video. You probably know them because of car batteries, but they have batteries for hundreds of other things you wouldn't even imagine. The subway uses Moura batteries for its internal equipment. The cell phone tower has a Moura battery which allows it to continue functioning even during power outages at your home. Automated teller machine security system, hospital equipment, everything has Moura. And right here we started thinking, wow, if the bank, if the hospital, they can protect themselves so well from power outages using batteries, couldn't we use that at home too? Couldn't a store or a company use that too? And they can. Moura's system is operational in businesses and shopping malls with plans to expand to homes. How does it work? Basically, it's a rack, a cabinet, let's say, full of batteries and an intelligent system that can control all of it. The name is Battery Energy Storage System, which comes from English. Battery Energy Storage System, that is a system for storing energy in batteries. It weighs 3.5 tons and can store a charge of 379 kilowatt hours. Saying numbers like that doesn't mean much, but just so you have an idea, an average house in Brazil consumes 150 kilowatt hours per month. And this system could power a house for over 2 months. What other components does it have besides the batteries? First, there's a safety system that monitors the temperature, the charge, and the voltage of each battery to see if it's time to replace them, if nothing is overheating, and so on. Then there's an inverter, which works kind of like your phone charger, but the other way around. It takes the direct current from the batteries and turns it into alternating current, which is what we use in the outlets. But the most interesting thing is that the battery energy storage system has an electronic system that decides when it should kick in or not. Based on my explanation, this device appears to be a large, uninterruptible power supply that provides electricity during power outages. That can definitely happen, and it's really cool that we have a system like this, but it goes way beyond that. To understand this, first let's take a look at how we use energy, more or less, throughout our day. Here are the hours: midnight, 6 ante-meridium, noon, 6 post-meridium, up to midnight. So we start by using little energy, everyone is sleeping, then everyone goes to work, businesses are open and everything else. Around 5 or 6 in the evening, people start coming home and turning on appliances, turning on the electric shower, air conditioning, washing machine. And that's why we have a peak here, a peak in energy consumption that happens roughly between 5 in the afternoon and 10 at night. This is called peak hours or rush hours. And then we have a problem. Every system that supplies energy, the power plants, the distribution companies, has to be prepared to provide a lot of energy when these peak hours arrive. But there's a detail. The most recent data shows that 22% of our energy is already solar. Brazil ranks 6th globally in solar energy production, which is impressive. It's really cool, but peak hours start exactly when the sun sets, and we don't have that energy source anymore. Solar energy runs out, requiring other power plants to compensate at that moment. A hydroelectric plant can be opened to let more water through, generating more energy. Or even turn on the thermoelectric plants, which are plants that run on diesel, on natural gas to meet this demand, this need for energy. In Brazil, the National System Operator is a central office that directs energy distribution, instructing plants to turn on or off and directing energy flow to different locations to manage the entire system. So many times, besides having a peak in energy consumption, the most expensive energy will also be used here, the energy that's harder to produce. And that's why there are several energy distributors that charge less when the whole country is using less energy and charge more during this period here. What does all this have to do with this battery system, with this battery energy storage system? Look how brilliant this is. If energy is cheaper here and more expensive here, this system can charge the battery at this time, and then you use the battery instead of the energy being supplied by the distributor. I mean, it's not just a backup system. It's like, I don't know, a stock market where you buy when it's cheaper and use it when it's more expensive. This type of contract varies a lot from one distributor to another, but it can happen that here, the price is half of what the energy costs over here. For businesses, this difference can be even greater. Something similar will happen if you have solar energy and it's the off-grid type, which isn't connected to the power grid, will have sunlight more or less from around 7 in the morning until about 5 in the afternoon. That depends a bit on the region. When the sun is strong, the energy can be used to charge the batteries. And then at night, which is when you're really going to use the energy, you take advantage of the solar energy that was generated during the day. Since we're discussing a smart computer-controlled system, solar energy can be utilized alongside utility company energy, organizing everything in the most economical and beneficial manner for you. All of this that I mentioned is very important because we're in a phase that we call the energy transition. What does that mean? It means we're changing the way we create energy. Little by little, we're moving away from using the more polluting power plants that burn coal, natural gas, or oil, and we're using more and more cleaner and renewable plants like wind power, which comes from the wind and solar power. So, in the end, when I tell you that this battery system can store energy during the day for you to use at night, it doesn't just mean that you'll pay less. It means that instead of using the energy generated by those sources, you manage to store the energy that was generated by these sources, which are much less polluting. Ultimately, particularly during the transition period, there isn't a one-size-fits-all solution for energy. You have to use a little bit of everything, but that's exactly why it's really cool for us to find out that there are good options. Like the Moura battery energy storage system, which first guarantees that you'll never be without power. You can save money by avoiding energy use during peak hours, which are pricier. Maximize clean energy usage and only activate thermoelectric plants when absolutely necessary. If you want to know more about batteries, there's a really cool Bora Ver episode that Mari recorded at the Moura factory in Pernambuco, which shows exactly how the battery is made.